It's called Advanced Answering Techniques. So it is 3 professional people explaining to other people how to answer different questions, a multiple variety of questions. Advanced Answering Techniques.
Hello and welcome to Advanced Answering Techniques. I'm one of your co-hosts. My name is Josh. This is a podcast in which we take user/listener questions. We give them definitive answers. We treat them exactly the way that we see fit. We have 2 other co-hosts here with me. They're related to me. They're my brothers, and I'm going to introduce them. They're going to introduce themselves, actually, by answering a question. The police are at the door. They're asking if they can go into your garage because they just saw a raccoon go in. You tell them they can. A few minutes later, you watch, sadly, as they lead the raccoon away in cuffs and put it in the back of the car. Why are you so sad? Caleb? Why are you so sad about that raccoon getting taken away by the police?
Sad because I can't.
You can't talk about it?
I can't talk about it. So wait, I think maybe, Gabe, if you have if you know why you're sad, you should go, because I do know why I'm sad,
But it's hard
I
to talk
can't
about.
talk about it yet.
Yeah, I'm sad because the raccoon, when he came in, he had an untouched half of a Jersey Mike's Italian hoagie, and he said that I could split it with him, but he didn't tell me where he put it before the cops took him away.
See, that is sad. Can you just imagine that delicious Jersey Mike's that's at least half of it's been left by the raccoon, just been gnawing away at just one half of it.
Yeah, but I mean, he found it. He told me also he found it at the top of the dumpster. Like
Right.
it was like, elevated.
Yeah,
it wasn't in
the
soup
in the soup.
or anything. So yeah, that's why I'm sad.
Yeah. Did you, Caleb? Were you able to get yourself under control?
You guys are not gonna believe this, but that's exactly the same.
Oh, the other half.
I don't know if he double booked
Okay.
the half he promised,
Yeah.
but
At least
it was hard for me to talk
I thought
about.
maybe there was a whole sub, and he just to each of you was like, "Hey, I've got this half of the sub."
I don't know what, but
Yeah,
I just
okay,
know that
okay.
a raccoon promised me half a sub,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't get it because I couldn't find it because he got taken away.
Yeah.
And
He
then
kept the location of the sub confidential.
Guys, we've got a lot to get to. We have a question today from one of the big 3. It's a little bit of it's an interesting piece of audio because we did have to do some investigating
Oh,
to find something out, but it might mean a serious demotion for one of the big 3. Let's listen. This is Isaac.
Hey guys, it's Isaac again, back at you with another question. I've been looking for some way to answer some sensitive questions, looking for a long gone daddy with fists of steel and a nose for trouble, and had me thinking, what would you guys do if you had access to a private eye?
What would we do if we had access to a private eye? Now, you will notice that in that audio, Isaac used a very specific phrase. Said that he was looking for a long gone daddy with fists of steel.
And a nose for trouble.
And a nose for trouble. I don't know how much that applies because all I did, my investigation consisted of this, was taking the phrase long gone daddy with fists of steel and inputting it into a search engine and getting results back. And the results were relating to another podcast. And so I was like, this is interesting because I know the other podcast. Because The other podcast was when we kind of came up with the idea of doing advanced answering techniques. My awareness of this other podcast was like, maybe we shouldn't do that. Maybe we shouldn't.
Why?
Because
Well-
there's a podcast called My Brother and Me that this phrase seems to originate from an episode of that. And the conceit of My Brother and Me is that three brothers answer questions.
Right. I mean, we've had people who have listened to us and all of our doings for a while know that we had another podcast about Seinfeld.
Right.
And that one we did not ever admit that we were brothers.
Related. That's true.
Yeah. Because we didn't want to draw this comparison.
Yeah.
And then we kind of gave up on that and thought, well, let's just do what they do.
We were
like,
we did have an intermittent time where we did
the glowing hour.
The glowing hour.
Yeah. That's
about
true.
40 episodes of the glowing hour.
Right.
And this is actually kind of related to what I wrote this week. And what this is a little bit of a sidetrack. Do you mind if we do this
You
now?
said wrote?
No, I think this is great.
You said you wrote it, Gabe?
I wrote this.
Okay. But it's on your phone?
Or I typed it out
Oh,
into
good,
the
good.
notes app
Yep.
of my phone.
Thank you, Caleb.
Yeah, that's true. I guess, yeah. But and I did use the keyboard. I didn't use like a,
A stylus?
stylus.
Yeah, if you use
To-
like a stylus, then I'd
text.
accept
And you
that.
can say,
But anyway, it's called Unknown Bone. Life's funny, you know? Sometimes you encounter a reminder. It's a reminder that life's funny, but also that time is passing by at a rate that you cannot quite comprehend. In a recent episode of this podcast, we were talking about the unknown bone. Like life, it's funny. It's a callback to a joke the three of us made when we were younger and stronger, and had my cool haircut my wife gave me to make me look more like Jean-Baptiste Zorg from The Fifth Element. Curious about the origin of the unknown bone joke, I scraped the archives of advanced answering techniques. No unknown bone. Then I thought, maybe it's from our other podcast. So I scraped the archives of The Glowing Hour. No unknown bone. At this point, I thought, maybe it's from our other podcast. I scraped the archives of Everybody Loves Seinfeld. Ladies and gentlemen, we have unknown bone. From our episode covering The Jacket, Season 2, Episode 3. It contains a riff of between the three of us on the idea of modern scientists discovering a previously unknown bone. Again, similar to life, pretty funny. But also, like life, it made me a little sad. Because in that moment, the thought that crossed my mind was, wow, Unknown Bone is from 2 podcasts ago. I saw my life laid out before me, measured in podcasts started and ended. I'm 40, talking to someone after church, telling them that my daughter is 7 podcasts old. I'm 60, writing an anniversary card to my dear wife. Darling, there is no one I would rather have spent the last 15 podcasts with. I'm 90, on my deathbed, thanking my friends and family for all their love to me over many happy podcasts. And so I leave you with this. Go to YouTube and search The Jacket, Everybody Loves Seinfeld. Click on the first result and skip to 16 minutes and 47 seconds to get the unknown bone reference. Thank you.
that's easy to do. And if you really want to understand kind of the lore, you will do it.
I know it's important. We mentioned that we might look into.
We did, and I absolutely did not do it for the last episode.
And I'll be honest, it was not on my radar until I was scrambling for an idea for something to write for this week. Saw that I had made a note, typed a note into my phone, not written one, but typed one into my phone last week to try to find the origin of Unknown Bone. And then, and I got there eventually. But it brought on some big thoughts.
I love how organic this podcast is.
What do you mean by that?
There's not really top down, kind of just grassroots,
a very flat
organic.
structure.
We say we're going to do something. Maybe we don't do it, but maybe if someone thinks about it, it's all just like very not planned in a lot of ways.
Right.
Less planned for some than others, I guess.
Mhm.
But I think it's really human.
It's very human.
It's basically a human. This
It
podcast.
is an organism.
Right.
Yeah. It's kind of constantly developing sometimes. And anyway.
Constantly developing sometimes? Okay.
Constantly developing. Sometimes it's about Seinfeld. Sometimes it's it's
Yeah.
some kind of strange variety show, and sometimes it's an advice show featuring three brothers
Right.
that is not called My Brother and Me.
But the
Yeah.
through line is
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings references.
Yeah. Definitely.
So, what would we do ultimately? It's hard to say exactly what Isaac's intention is by bringing up this fact, by layering in a very specific snippet of text that has a clear reference to. It feels a little bit like maybe we're being called out for being derivative or something like that. I'm not exactly sure. I haven't really listened to much of that other podcast, so I can't really say how much we have to do with it.
We're not like them.
Well, we're not in the business of listening to podcasts. We make
We
them.
make them.
We've made 3.
We've made 3 podcasts, and that has passed, several years of our lives. Quite happily.
I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, me too.
All the
Episodes.
episodes, yeah.
The record.
I
guess the recording
What I was going to
and
say was
re-listening to as well.
yeah. I was going to say it was a success, but I was like,
No,
I mean, you can have
if success is having it out there so people could listen to it, then yeah.
yeah.
right. If your goal is to have released a podcast, we have been very successful.
Weekly successful.
Yeah, for actual years. I mean, in some ways, is there a sense in which succeeding in achieving a strange stasis of where there's neither growth nor much decline? There has been some decline, but not much. It's been pretty even for a really long time. I think that there is that is a kind of success in continuing to put them out and then not ever having it achieve anything more or grow, to achieve stasis, basically.
Yeah, it's nice because we know that we can't change.
Right.
It would be like, sorry, did you have more to say there, Gabe?
Yeah, but it's probably not important because, that just kind of sums it up. We can't change.
Can't change. What could
No, we can't change, and then Caleb talking over me to say something he wanted to say,
But I stopped.
So there is growth.
So maybe
I guess.
maybe we can change. Maybe
Okay.
what you said was wrong.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it proved.
What happens is you don't get to. I don't get to stop interrupting, but I stop my interrupting.
You start interrupting your own interruptions.
Yeah, and the effect is the same.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to have made this better
basically
or more
as
streamlined.
Derailed as we would have been otherwise.
I
but
did
you
have-
were going to say, what were
Yeah.
you going to say?
Thank you for stopping your interruption. I was going to say it would be like if you saw a rock in the woods one day and it had moss on it. And then you lived your life for several years and then you came back to that rock and there wasn't any more moss growing on it and there was no less moss growing on it.
Yep.
You'd be like, this is interesting.
Yeah, this is something worth.
You'd say this rock is successful.
Yeah, what a success! Wow. Yeah, it's the replacement rate of the moss is exactly at an equilibrium, right? It's losing as much moss every year as it gains.
And just so people know, I mean, the example is a static rock, which is the podcast, and then I guess the audience is the moss, right? And for me personally, that might seem pejorative to people. What is it? A rolling
stone.
A what?
Rolling stone.
A rolling stone gathers no moss. Well, we're a static stone, and we do gather moss. and it's beautiful.
Yeah, we love the moss.
Yeah.
And we'd love to be a big mossy stone that you think is a hillock instead of a stone because of the moss.
What would you guys do if you had access to a private investigator, a PI? What would you use it for? I can start if we need to.
I think so.
I think that I would have my private investigator follow my doctor around, because private investigators are kind of interesting. I did a little bit of investigation of my own into seeing what they really do, and there's not much that they can do. They seem to have access to certain pieces of software where they can like find out if a person has aliases. I don't know exactly, and that must just mean names that they have changed. Would that be the base? Or because I don't know where there would be a database of of aliases, other names that somebody
Just
would
kind of
would
self-reporting.
have. Yeah,
I'm going by
Yeah.
this now.
yeah.
Yeah.
So like
Because-
being able to trace name changes.
Yeah,
seems to be one of the
that
things.
makes sense. I think you have to do some sort of certification, some sort of exam to gain access, and it's kind of like you need to know how to use this information responsibly.
You
That's
need to
kind of
know.
it.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of it is you need to know what your like liability
Right.
is and what you're allowed to do and what you aren't allowed to do.
Right,
and
but
all
beyond that, it's not like you have to have a background in law enforcement or
No.
anything.
No.
It's just like you can.
You can use this so there's like software that you can use to look at like I think properties that someone owns or if they have a professional degree, that kind of stuff. Anyway, and they're allowed to take pictures through windows of people. So they're just allowed to surveil people that way.
Just
But I think ultimately
I'm not allowed
anybody
to do
could-
that?
No, I think you could.
Oh.
I think so. Like private investigators, there's not very much that they can do that you can't do.
interesting.
They can't trespass.
I was going to say, I'm going to have to, if I'm not allowed to do that and I want to be an upstanding citizen, I'm going to have to get a license. I've been taking a lot of pictures of people through their windows.
Through their windows.
Through their windows, through my windows.
Yeah.
Walk past my house.
Take some pictures
I'm going to,
of your children through your window.
my children
Your-
through my
your own
window?
children through your
yes,
window.
I have done that. Yes. Not your children. If you're walking by with your children, I won't take a picture of the kids, but I will take a picture of you and your dog.
But I wanted to see if maybe I think what I would do is I would try to get some dirt on my doctor. He seems to have all the power in the relationship, all the leverage. This is what your blood pressure is. This is how much you weigh. So I think it might be nice to kind of even the playing field a little
Yeah.
bit if we could get some information on my doctor. And then we could really see who's boss.
Oh, my blood sugar's high. Pretty
Yeah.
rich for the guy that ate a king size candy bar at the gas station
Yep.
on Tuesday, November 3rd.
Exactly.
At
I would love-
11:52 a.m.
I would love to have kind of like a sheet of and with photo evidence, and we kind of
Right.
sit down in the operating room or the exam room, wherever the meeting happens to be taking place.
I'd like for you to be going under general anesthesia and parading the doctor with a
Yeah.
kind of a rap list
Just
in
having-
front of you.
yep.
The old dossier.
It's all just the most incriminating thing is eating candy bars.
Yeah.
He's a very good man, but he does enjoy candy
He
bars.
likes candy bars.
Yeah.
But then he also wants to lecture me about my high glycemic index.
yeah.
No,
Yep.
thank you.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably what I'd do if I had
That's
access
really
to
impressive,
to a
Josh.
PI. I would.
I'm impressed.
Yeah. Thank you.
I'm impressed that you thought of that.
Yeah. I did think of it. It's something that's on my mind. I would like to get, if only there's a way to just get my doctor under my thumb a little bit.
And make sure he's not putting a thumb on the scale, when you're getting
It
weighed.
seems like sometimes it seems like he is. Maybe this would help us to go, hey, doc, how about we knock a couple pounds off that?
Right.
I think that would help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it would help a lot. It would help me.
Yeah, for me on the private eye side of things, something you learn
Versus what?
versus not talking about the question, which has been my move so far this episode. Because, we started talking about the question and I was like, let's talk about something else. Let's actually talk about the podcast. So, that I'm going to actually let that lie. That's not going to be what I'm doing now. And what I'm going to do now is talk about the private eye side of things.
Okay.
I do think that podcast listeners like this sort of thing.
I sure hope
give
so.
them a little bit of a taste of this is where we're headed. We're about to talk about the question.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We were talking about the question. That's going to continue for a little bit at least. Anyway, but the thing that I was thinking about is how, many, when you look at the lives of many great individuals throughout history, a common theme you'll find is that they have a journal, a daily journal of their comings and goings, what they're up to, what they're thinking about. And I think a private eye would be really helpful to me in this effort because I want to emulate these great people, but I'm so bad at being good at keeping a journal. And obviously a private eye wouldn't be able to know my own thoughts. Maybe I could, I guess through observing my habits, he might be able to piece together, or she might be able to piece together a, sort of a matrix that would, result in him understanding my thought process. But if he's observing me, writing down everything I do and how I spend my time and then that just becomes my journal.
That really reminds me of a part of I Heart Huckabees, the movie.
Okay.
Where Jason
existential-
Schwartzman, has an existential. What are they called?
Existential detectives. I think.
Is it
And so it's I'm spacing on the actors.
Dustin Hoffman?
Dustin
Dustin
Hoffman
Hoffman and
and
Lily Tomlin.
Lily Tomlin are following him around, observing him, taking
Mhm.
notes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. And I mean, I didn't have that in my mind at all, but like maybe that's something that as the private eye follows me more, he'd be like, well, he's definitely seen that movie a couple times. So maybe that's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he would be able to piece that together.
I really like this. I think that hiring a private detective so that maybe you could have some kind of a journal of what you've been up to.
Right.
And then for him to start making guesses about what you're thinking. That and kind of and so that you could have a private investigator to tell you kind of what some of your inmost thoughts are.
That would be helpful. And I think it would just edge me a little closer to becoming a great individual.
Yes.
Which is my most earnest aspiration.
I think it is sort of, if you also referred to this private investigator while it's going on as God.
Okay.
Because we don't live, God sees everything we do.
Right.
And so we should act accordingly.
Yeah, as though we're being observed.
So it's sort of like training for that sort of perspective, is to have an actual man that you call God, who is a private investigator, just observing you.
How's God going to feel about that? I'm not a scholar by any means, but I'm pretty familiar with the book. Don't think he's going to like that.
I'm not saying he's the God. He's like, it's like Elohim versus the Tetragrammaton.
Okay, right.
Maybe it'd be good just to call him Lord.
Right, something like that.
Curious, something.
Yeah, and he is curious. He wants to know more about me.
This guy's so curious.
So
He's like
curious.
me, Gabe's life and his thoughts.
So that would probably be my play with the PI.
I'm kind of embarrassed to even talk about mine because I don't think it's very good. But
I think you should get over it and tell us.
I have actually several that I've thought of
that are all really
I can't
good.
decide which is the best. So maybe what I'll do is I'll just tell you all three, and then whichever one seems the most interesting, we'll go into. So, okay, first one I thought of was, it's kind of a cliche, but private eye, to follow one of your guys' private eyes.
Yeah, that is a bit of a cliche.
So I started there, and then I went to, what if I hired a private eye to follow the president
Of
the United States?
the United States.
Just see how far he could get, sort of the idea.
Okay.
And then, it would be interesting if the level of that private investigation is like, I'm just hearing news that I already hear about the president.
Right.
Oh, okay, he's not working very hard. It would be a way to kind of a metric to figure out how hard this guy's going to work for me. The third one was inspired partially by you, Josh, was to hire a private investigator to follow my physical therapist, my old physical therapist. They're not my physical therapist anymore.
Mm-hmm.
All of them either much heavier than me or way lighter than me. Definitely not as good physically as I am. So figure out why that is the case. See what they're doing.
Get some, just to get some information on why is my former physical therapist kind of overweight?
Yeah.
Is that ultimately?
Well, specifically. Yeah,
And
why? What is it that he likes so much that
Right.
makes him overweight?
And how much of it is down to him being Mormon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you know that's contributing in some fashion.
Oh,
It
yeah.
is.
Oh, yeah.
They
and
have
we can
quite a proclivity for sweets.
for candy.
For sure.
Not even just sweets. I mean, sweets. I can
So
identify
sweets
with that
being
a
like a
bit.
pastry, but not necessarily like runts.
That's what I'm thinking. Is it's hard to identify with and sort of latch on to people who are really into like Boston baked beans and runts.
Yeah.
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 And-
I would be kind of a voodoo donuts thing here, but make how there's like chocolate inside of some croissants. You put some runts in there. See what that's.
Yeah, I mean that would probably kill in Portland.
You get the Mormon crowd going. Ooh.
Yeah.
I don't love the bread, but the filling's good.
The filling is tasty. Tastes like runts. I had a moment the other day where it's like people are always saying, how could I bring a child into this world? And then my daughter asked for something from a candy machine and she pointed at it and it was all of the banana. It's just all banana runts. So there's no other fruits in the mix. It's just bananas. And I was like, how is the world's not getting worse? We're improving. The banana was always the best flavor of runt. And now you can just, for a quarter, get like 30 bananas. That's why I'm pro
Bringing children into the world.
Because it's
That's why
getting
I'm
better.
for having children.
Yeah.
Things are
Yeah,
getting better. You can skip all the other fruits and just have the banana runt.
Yeah. I know we've talked about this before. I think it was on Everybody Loves Seinfeld. The difference between nerds and runts.
No, I don't remember that.
Oh, okay. But
It was
because I always think of nerds when I think of runts.
Yeah.
Runts are the little fruits.
Runts are fruit. Nerds are just
Nerds
little,
are the little. I'm sorry. I don't know why I did that.
runts are the little fruits.
Yeah,
Everyone
runts.
will just have to wonder what that word was.
Yeah, so yeah, yeah, that would be good. That might be interesting to. What are we even talking about?
What happened?
We were talking about what
Mormons.
what your former physical therapist, why he
is so big.
One of them. We can also find out why the other ones are
So small.
So small.
Well, one of them was it was sort of like a gamut of physical therapists. One of them was much taller than me and then much heavier than me. And then the next guy was shorter than me, but not so short, but definitely thinner than me. Had almost no upper body strength. Third guy, really short, really wide. So I got almost I should go to several more physical therapists and sort of see if I can get the 7 dwarves like of
Yeah,
physical
collect
therapy.
all of them.
Yeah.
So with that third guy, you didn't even need one of those inflatable exercise balls.
I just rolled him up.
You would just plop down on his side
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
and roll back and forth.
He was apprehensive about it at first.
Oh, so it was your suggestion. It wasn't his suggestion.
He was a little apprehensive at first.
Right.
I thought he had maybe felt like
Yeah.
this is something that I bring. This is
Yeah.
an advantage that I bring
Yeah.
to the table. here.
You would
Like
think,
I said, at first he was apprehensive.
okay.
But when we started doing it, he saw how well it worked.
You helped him to
It
learn.
kind of helped me, but he seemed to really take to it. And then I saw him, kind of later on, he would suggest it. Because no one else
Right.
had been as creative. None of his other patients had
And
been
I
as
was-
creative and bold as me.
I was gonna say, wouldn't that be interesting? I don't know if you encounter like a medical professional or somebody in that realm, and maybe they're like, I'm a little unconventional, right? Like maybe they have a slightly different approach. But what if you as the patient was like, I'm a little unconventional?
I think people do get that vibe from me.
Rather than using the provided and fitting equipment, what if I just sat on you
Yeah.
and he's as you describe apprehensive at
Yeah.
first?
I don't know. But okay, well, I don't know. If it's going to help you get better, maybe it's worth it, Maybe it's worth it for you to sit on me and kind of roll around.
And were you able to make your case a little stronger by saying, you know how occasionally you have to reinflate one of these balls? If we use one of the yoga balls, you'll have to reinflate that, but actually you will not need to be reinflated.
Right.
It'll end up saving you a lot of time. That seems like it would have been an effective way to make the argument.
And once you do it enough, like you'll have calluses in all the right places and you'll have strengthened your body in this very particular way to do this, to offer this to people.
Yeah.
No other, it sets you apart in the
Yeah.
market. And he was apprehensive about doing it. We started doing it. And then I was like, we should film this and post it on social media. And he was apprehensive about that, but I was like, it's going to set you apart. People are going to come in here and know that they'll get to sit on their physical therapist. Not even his lap.
Right.
His
Not his lab.
lap.
Oh, his lap.
Not like a weird, not like creepy.
Yeah.
It's not creepy.
Right. It would be creepy to
No.
sit in his lap. You're just kind of rolling him around,
No, it's not creepy. It's for your
laying on
health.
him. And
Yeah.
I mean, it's an important. Yeah, it's effective too.
Yeah.
It's actually more effective.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Is he can actually kind of give some resistance.
Sure.
Yeah.
the
Tailor
yoga
it.
ball's not able to.
The yoga ball doesn't know when you're not working as hard as you can. And he,
And the
through this new way,
Right.
is able to understand,
Yeah.
I know you can do better.
I know
And
that
it's
you
the
can
yoga
sit
ball.
a little harder on me.
Yeah,
It's the yoga ball
yeah.
that provides that kind of, feedback.
Yeah.
And,
But it can't because the difference is that the yoga ball isn't a human and this guy is.
Yeah.
You're sitting on
Yeah.
him and he can kind of have that connection.
well, he's got a brain.
Right. He's got a whole muscular
organs.
skeletal system. And
That would be annoying because sometimes you did have to take breaks, like to use the restroom.
Okay.
Which is one thing I had on. I did make a pros and cons.
right.
It's like one of them was like pro for the yoga ball doesn't have to pee.
Doesn't have to pee
Yeah.
ever.
Doesn't. Yeah.
Or is it always kind of peeing a little bit of air?
Could most of them are.
So
I mean, if that's what they pee, I think we
think
talked
that
about
is-
what
we've
happens
talked
to
about
things.
what do balloons eat? Turns out balloons eat yoga ball pee, which is air.
This kind of we have a brother named Ross, and Ross is not exactly a private investigator. But he's an insurance adjuster, so he does kind of investigation into accidents and all that kind of thing. But more than that, the thing that I think is a little more striking about him is how private he is. He's so private. And he's like, I don't even know if he's married and has kids. I don't even know where he lives.
Completely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just in his own world.
He keeps to himself.
Yeah.
He shows up every once in a while, and it can be hard even to sort of recognize. Like even around, when we were growing up and stuff, you'd see him occasionally around the house.
Yeah.
And it'd be like, who is that? Who is that again? Oh, you'd have to, right? Because he's just very, very, just a very private person.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't see him eat ever.
Yeah.
But he was alive, so I assumed he was getting his food
Sustenance.
into him somehow.
Calories.
I'd see him around food.
We'd see, yes.
Sure.
But him actually putting food into his mouth and chewing?
You'd see him next to a cupboard.
It was pretty easy too. If you ate something you weren't supposed to, like a special treat in the cupboard, and then it was gone, and mom's like, "Who ate this?" We could just be like,
Ross.
"Bros."
Ross.
Did you say his name was Bros?
His name is, well, I didn't say that. I said his name was Ross, but I think his name was Bros.
Well, I've been saying it wrong.
I've been saying it wrong, but again, he's so...
It just demonstrates.
He kind of
so
liked
private.
that. I guess he liked that we were saying his name wrong because he was like,
Maybe he told
my
me
brothers-
one thing.
my brothers don't even know my name.
Right.
I am very private.
Very private.
Yeah.
Good job, Bros.
Here's a poem. I'm a PI, but I have an old car. The doors are pretty broken, so I don't drive far. But there's one thing I can do, and I'll do it in the flash. If it's not trespassing, I'll go through someone's trash. I'm allowed to it. I like it. Garbage is my focus. I'm very good at digging in trash at short notice.
It's good. It's really, you're selling yourself on, because a lot of times the lead time on getting a private eye up and running and, following whoever, getting the information you want.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It takes a long time. You got to do some waiting, but Josh is able to offer real quick.
Yep, very quick, real quick turnaround. A lot of times I don't have a lot of other cases I'm working on because pretty limited kind of
And it happens a lot too, where somebody will call you and you'll be like, "You want me to look through David Jansen's trash?" I'm already doing that.
Frequently the case, or actually, I just did that yesterday, and I can give you a very complete rundown.
Yeah,
at a great price because that was just free time.
Yeah, that was just practice for when someone asks me to do it.
Yeah.
So wait, you're not a private eye. The poem is
No, I am a private
eye.
Well,
Okay.
it was-
Okay. Now it all makes sense.
Yeah. In some ways,
No, but are you actually allowed to dig through people's trash if you get the private eye license?
I think you're allowed to dig through, as long as you're not trespassing, you're just allowed to go through people's trash.
Okay.
Without the license.
I think
Well,
so.
Yeah.
That's another one of my hobbies. Yeah, that's less interesting to me now.
What I didn't look into this very deeply, but I do remember in the movie The Burbs, they talk about the legality of going through someone else's trash. And essentially, once it's on the curb, according to a character in the movie The Burbs, it is public property and you could go through it. So I think that's probably true.
Yeah. I think if not, that defense will hold up in court.
Well, it is like I said, it makes it a little less like of like an adrenaline rush to go do that now, but now I can do it anytime. During the day, I don't have to wear my outfit.
What about at night?
I've been doing it at night.
Oh, okay. You said anytime. I just wanted to make sure that
Well, I
might-
give
was
if I
part of
don't
that.
get it in during the day, now I can do it at night.
It
but
is
anyway.
nice. It is nice to, as a private investigator, if somebody asks you why are you doing that, you can go, I'm a professional.
I'm a professional. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And there-
have
and
you
I-
seen The Burbs?
Are you aware of a little case I like to call Me versus Watching the Burbs?
Wait. Wait, this is a court.
It's a precedent.
where
It's
you
it's a
can-
case.
You can have a prosecution that is you versus the defense, which is something you did.
And I think for that to be helpful to you, you would maybe want it to be like me versus not watching the Burbs, because you're saying I've seen the Burbs and I know that this activity is legal in the current circumstances.
Right.
Based on that
Me,
information.
a man who has seen the Burbs several times versus a hypothetical person who has.
I mean, I would like to prosecute things I have done in the past.
Yeah.
Like that idea is interesting.
Yeah. It does seem like it works better if you're in more of an adversarial relationship with something that you have done.
Right.
Yeah. Versus you using something you have done as kind of a positive marker or evidence.
Right. Yeah.
I had a quick question, relates to something earlier that you mentioned that this person that submitted the question might get bumped down. And what did you mean by that?
I just meant you know, it's hard to judge
Sorry,
the
to
exact
be one of the big three that submitted this question.
right
Might get knocked out of that
out of the big three.
big
Yeah.
three.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was the basic idea. If we were able to determine, and to me, it's pretty inconclusive at this point, and we've experienced nothing but fun and goodwill from the questioner. So I don't see a reason to.
Not the questioner. The questioner has
But-
not been fun and nice. He's been mean. Not Isaac, but the questioner.
Oh,
Oh,
no,
that's-
yes. I'm
that's-
sorry. I meant this particular questioner,
Yeah.
Isaac.
The questioner.
Yeah.
Sort of the nemesis.
Kind of our arch enemy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Of
He
the
has been mean to us. We've let his questions on, but
Yeah.
he sort of tries to get us to not be able to do our job.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he hasn't tried that in quite a long time, and I would be surprised if he ever did ever again. So
yeah.
I mean, I don't know if he's like some kind of crazy bear and he's in hibernation, because it's been radio silence from the questioner.
You think
I do think
What are we at?
Occam's razor says that's probably what it was.
this could have been? We
bear.
could have gotten a question from a crazy bear.
Crazy bear.
Not even like intelligent bear
Right.
who can speak English.
Yeah. Well, you
Well, that
guys.
would be pretty crazy for a
It
bear.
would be crazy. It would.
Yeah, it is crazy, but you guys did kind of already to abuse a term, plead guilty to making deals with a raccoon earlier. So
True.
I don't know. It seems within the.
That's true.
The raccoon, they do have some human traits.
Clever
the
hands.
The
Yeah.
hands are profoundly upsetting
Yep.
to see in use. And
The bandit mask.
the bandit mask is
That's
emotive. He communicated non-verbally that I would be getting half of this
Oh, really?
Italian sub.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting for you.
half of the Italian sub, just to be clear.
Yeah. Well, he spoke to me.
Wow.
Just-
He
Yeah,
spoke.
direct
Just straight up
speech.
English. I will admit, I was like looking at all the stuff he was doing to communicate, like the gestures and the
Yeah.
body language, and I was like, I
You weren't
don't
getting
understand.
it, so it seemed like maybe out of frustration, he was able to
Yes.
use human speech.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean I wish I'd been as confused as you were so that I could have witnessed one of God's miracles.
It's one of the things that does happen to me. frequently that there are things I
The
ascribe
world.
to God and the kind of enchanted nature of reality that may just be that I'm not able to keep up. I'm not able to. Things have to be kind of dumbed down for me.
The
I
world
need
has to
things
come to
nerfed.
your level.
I need things nerfed. Like I
Okay.
need a raccoon to talk to me, not just show me stuff.
Yeah, you need a raccoon. If he wants to split half of a sub with you, he's just got to come right out and say it.
Thanks so much for listening to Advanced Answering Techniques. I've been your host, Josh, and this was Caleb and Gabe. We're three brothers, and we do answer questions. And we'd like to answer your questions, so you can send those to advancedansweringtechniques@gmail.com. We're looking for an audio file about a minute in length, and thank you so much for submitting those. Guys, anything right here at the end that we need to
Just
deal
a
with?
quick PSA. If anyone is missing a right shoe and you were at the Seattle airport, I did see it at the Seattle airport. Had a green sole. It was just sitting there on the floor, just one shoe.
What make?
I couldn't tell. I didn't get that close to it.
Yeah, it's good to give them their space.
Everyone else was doing that. Yeah. Walking past. Most people, anyone who, you could really see the people who pay attention at the airport when there's just a shoe sitting on the ground.
Yeah.
And some people don't see it.
Some people just don't have shoe-dar.
Yeah. Right. So if you're missing that shoe, if you have a green soled shoe, a left one,
Well, if you use, if you have a left one,
If you have the
used
left
to have
one,
a right one,
and you used to have a right one and you were at the Seattle airport, or maybe you weren't there. I don't know how it got
Yeah.
there. It's an airport. Stuff comes from all over the place. This
Okay,
shoe could have just,
can I-
maybe this shoe, I mean, I saw the shoe had an unaccompanied minor tag on it.
See, my pitch was going to be, went through security, took the shoes off, only put the left one on, forgot about the right one, and the right one was just trying to catch up.
That, okay.
Just
It could be, and he was just
I
being
gave up.
still when people were looking.
maybe a
So,
little
'cause he
Toy
didn't
Story
wanna-
situation. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. A woman, a stewardess, kicked the shoe into a corner, and she said it out loud. I'm just going to put it there so no one trips over it.
bye.
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 Down in the valley, down in the valley in the shadow, down in the basement, down in the basement where we don't go. There's something in the field of my peripheral vision, scattered in the fields of indecision, taking on shape without precision. Down the black alley, down the black alley where the dark grows, down the dirt road, down the dirt road between the cornrows. There's something in the field of my peripheral vision, scattered in the fields of indecision. decision.